Hey guys, what's going on? It's Corey Vanderploeg at Corey Photo on Twitter and Instagram. Today I'm going to show you the best way to make a vignette. Now, first thing you want to do is you want to throw on your crop. Right now my crop is white and you can't really see it, but that will all change when I add the vignette. Now what most people do is they take the elliptical tool and they just kind of place it around. We go to select, modify, feather, do something around 200%. Bring the curves layer over here. Drop it down, and they invert it. And that's usually how most people do a vignette, but you can see it's very mechanical. It definitely looks like a machine did it. Now the key to a good vignette is to make it look hand-drawn. So we have all this extra space here, and you can see that this is wasted. You want it to look natural and organic. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a curves layer. We're gonna bring this all the way down. Something like this. Now you don't want any bend in here. And then we're going to delete it by pushing Apple Delete. What we're going to do is take our brush tool. You want it somewhere real low, say 4 or 5%. And with a big brush, you're just going to paint it in. And you can see that I'm going very gently here. You want it to be very broad. Don't want to overdo it. And this already looks significantly better than our previous one. And that's really all you want on the first one. You can see it's nice and gentle. Now we're going to go round 2 here. Bring this right down. Same thing. Delete the layer, or invert it I should say. And then we're just going to bring this up a little bit by 10%. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this brush even smaller. So you can see there, you really want to paint it in so it's nice and organic. That way there's nothing that's repeating. There's nothing really that mechanical about it. And you can just kind of dot in where it looks. Now, you're gonna have to do this a few times before you get the feeling down. But that's pretty much it. Again, you don't want to overdo it. I'm gonna push X and invert this mask. That way I can make sure lots is off him. I'll actually do this on this one too. Just make sure you're not getting anything on him. And now what we're gonna do is on this last one, we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're going to invert the mask. We're going to bring this around 13%, and we're going to go even smaller, and this is just for the edges. Really just for the edges, making sure it's even all the way around. You can do a nice big one there. And that's really it. There's your vignette. You see when we add it to a group and flip it on and off, it's much more natural. Now something I like to do at the end, especially if it's a color image, is just add a little cyan to it. Add a little bit of cyan to the background, and it just gives it this nice pop. And you can see this looks fantastic. All right, let's show you on another one. This one doesn't really have a crop. It doesn't have a perfectly background, but we're gonna do the exact same thing. You can see the shape is a bit odd, so this a circular vignette would be strange because it would be really eating onto our hands. It would be all this empty space. So let's just follow that tip one more time. We'll go like this, invert it, big brush, bring it down 4 or 5%, zoom out, and a huge brush and just very broad strokes. Beautiful. Nothing too crazy. Now you might notice that if your computer's a little bit slower, this image is huge. Because this is a big brush, it might take just a little bit longer. But see that? Nice and simple. Now we're gonna go round 2. Just a smaller brush. Invert it. A little bit stronger. Brush just a little bit smaller and do the exact same thing. Really focusing on the edges. You don't really want to highlight in around here or down here, and just focus on the edges. It looks pretty good. Now I'm going to invert it, sorry, to make sure nothing's hitting our subject, and then the piece de resistance, the last one, invert it. Just a little bit more. Smaller brush, really just focusing on the edges. and really just make those edges nice and dark. And again, less is more. And there you have it. Beautiful vignette. And again, that same little color trick to bring the cyans down, which is really nice. Bring the blues up. It just gives it a nice old school feel. Let's do one more, this time on a headshot. So this one is where you have to be very delicate because you want it to just accentuate the face and draw your eyes to the face. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Start low, but this one you want to be just a little bit more careful. Just you don't want anything really to eat into the face. So here you go, big brush again. And just don't worry about eating around the neck. The neck's not as important as the face. And very gentle. Just kind of work your way around. You'll get the brush strokes after a few tries. Again, that's it. Nice and simple. I'm just going to make sure it's off her face, so you invert the mask by pushing X. Let's do it again. This one's just a little bit heavier handed. Smaller brush. Smaller brush. Eating along the edges and on the inside. You can eat it in the little taps around here just to make sure there's no highlights around. And then the last one, you can see I'm a lot more subtle on these ones than I am on the full body images. The reason is you don't really want it to distract too much from the face. You want it to accentuate and draw your eye even closer. And that's it. Nice and simple. Drop this into a group. Add your color. This is just a personal preference of mine so the vignette doesn't look too stale. And there you go. A beautiful vignette. You can see when I flip it off how the color really does help and make it pop, and you can see the big difference here. That's it. And there you have it. All of them are nice and organic, doesn't look mechanical, it all looks very organic, and the only way to get that feeling is through drawing by hand. I learned this from a darkroom photographer and his retoucher, and it really does give you that classic old school vibe with just a bit of a modern twist. If you guys like this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. I always respond to the comments. Happy shooting.